Alright, y'all, what's good? I'm back here with another video. Even though my last video was like 7 months ago. It's been a minute since I uploaded a video, but yeah, here I am today. Today I'm actually gonna upload for once and at least try to stay consistent for once. I actually decided to make the topic of today's video very similar to my last video, or the one before my last one, but just because I know it's a really hard thing to practice, and also because it's just something a lot of people deal with. So the topic of today's video is these are the top 7 ways that I have developed to counter lust. Now, the reason why I said counter and not overcome is because for as long as you live this life, there probably ever won't be a time where you. Oh, I just realized. But anyways, as I was saying, for as long as you live this life, you're probably never going to ever truly overcome, lust. You're always going to be tempted by new vices and things like that. So you got to develop some counters. You got to develop some strategies. You got to develop some plans. For as long as you live in your flesh, it's always going to be battling with your spirit. I'm going to leave verses all throughout this video, but let's get it. Let's go. So I have the 7 ways. If you can see any of these 7 ways, I'm not sure. I think it's like inverted, but reason number 1, or the first way to counter lust, surrender yourself, fully surrender yourself to Christ. Feed your spirit a lot more than you would feed your flesh. In all honesty, I feel like the reason why a lot of people fall is because they feed their flesh more than their spirit. You know what I mean? Staying up too late, watching certain things. It's all really dependent on, what you consume and what really is what it really is you're giving power to, because at the end of the day, you can be tempted, but you still have the choice not to fulfill that temptation, not to fulfill that desire, if that makes any sense. But I think it's also very important that when you're trying to develop a counter, right, you have to be mindful not to make that counter, an idol or a god, in a sense. Some people, they make it, how do I even explain this? Some people, they kind of make it, they focus more on the sin rather than focusing more on, being rooted, being direct, and, trying to root themselves into God. Try to focus more on not just the sin. Of course, you want to be mindful of, what triggers the sin, but you want to also be mindful that, you want to root yourself into God so that, you can have the power, what's necessary to overcome that sin. Now, way number 2 is some deep prayer. Now, deep prayer is really dependent on the person, but I know that for some people, praying for really long periods of time can be a bit hard, especially with a busy schedule. But a deep prayer may not have to be something you do every day, but it can be something that you do from time to time, or at least maybe a couple times a week, maybe even once a week if you can, or, before sleep or whatever. And it's as I said with number 1, this is also key when it comes to rooting yourself into God. You want to get into some deep prayer. And also, I'm about to touch up on the next thing very soon, very soon. I'm very excited to talk about it. But number 3 is mindfulness. Mindfulness is all really dependent on the person, and the reason why I say it's really dependent on the person, because everyone has different triggers, everyone has different vices, everyone has different sins that they struggle with. So it's important to be mindful of what exactly is triggering certain emotions, what's triggering certain temptations, and so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to mindfulness, you want to be mindful of the media you're consuming. Not only the media you're consuming, but you want to be mindful of the people you're hanging around. You want to be mindful of the times you go to sleep, the times you wake up. You want to be mindful of. Did someone just die? You want to be just overall mindful. You want to be mindful of the places you're going to too. You know what I mean? There's no way that you can ever overcome a sin like this if, you're going to the club, you're hanging out with certain individuals that kind of have this mindset of they don't really care about this certain kind of thing. Be very mindful. Be very mindful. And when you feel tempted by something you watch or a place you go or whatever it is, or even by a person, what I mean? You gotta walk away. You just gotta walk away or run away. Run away. That's even better. Even better. Number four. Now this right here is my favorite one. Number 4 is fasting. Fasting is absolutely key. If I remember correctly, even the Bible says that there are only certain spirits that can come out through prayer and through fasting. Fasting is indeed a form of self-denial. It really depends on the person. I know some people have probably like health defects and things of that nature, but if you can fast, please do. You could do a Daniel fast, which is probably like a couple days, maybe not a couple days, but maybe a day, maybe 2. I know some people go a week. If you can, just water, but a Daniel fast, just fruits and veggies. Nothing, anything more than that. But honestly, when I do fast, I feel a lot more like in control of my mind in a sense. I mean, I feel a lot more in control of just my emotions, and just I feel overall very grounded when I'm fasting. Not to say that I'm not grounded without it, but it's a different kind of feeling I can't really explain. You'd only really know if you fast for yourself, you know what I mean? And try to notice the differences as you fast versus, when you always eat, you know what I mean? When you're always full, when you're always overeating, you know what I mean? Fasting also really humbles you in a way too, in a sense. All right, on to the next one. Now, this is the key thing I made a video about. Now, on to the next one would be number 5, which is remain humble. There are many times during this whole thing I've been doing where sometimes I just was not humble. Sometimes I go months and months and months and months and months. I'm like, dang, bro, I finally did it. Silly mistake. But you gotta remain humble, because at the end of the day, sin's it's something that's gonna be a part of our lives till we pass away, till we wither and turn to dust. Been something that we've had since, we were born, but at the same time, it's best to remain humble. If you truly think that you've truly overcome a sin, then good for you. Oh my gosh, my alarm's going off. Now, if you truly do think you've overcome a sin and you have no intention on going back, you know what I mean, then yeah, good for you. But for some people, they kind of find themselves getting out of the sin or whatever vice that they're a part of or doing, and they eventually slip back in because, that little window of pride and ego opens a little door, opens a little crack in a window. It's just that little tiny instance of weakness. It's just taken advantage of every time. So I think, it's best to remain humble. It's best to, however long you go on retention, it's best to remain humble. And it's a journey. Enjoy the journey. You know what I mean? There's no destination with this thing. It's just an overall journey. So enjoy yourself. All right, number 6, which is my absolute favorite, would be retention, aka seed retention, abstinence, celibacy, whatever people want to call it these days. Yeah, man, I've been doing it for I want to say 2.5 years now. Many times I stumbled and fell, but overall, I would say very humbling journey, to say the least. I encourage anyone that has not been on retention to at least try it. You know what I mean? I've come across people that, they kind of have this weird outlook on it. And of course, you don't want to look at it at a worldly perspective. Some people use retention for the wrong reasons. Some people use retention, for ego boosts, I mean, to, not remain humble, to belittle others. And some people even use it to get, contradict themselves and, go after what, go against the whole, retention thing. You know what I mean? If you're using retention for anything other than to better yourself and honor your body, you know what I mean, the temple in which the Holy Spirit dwells, then I think you're kind of doing it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? You shouldn't use retention as a means to belittle people, or for whatever the benefits that come with it, because it does come with a lot of benefits. And should check out that video if you haven't seen it. Yeah, but anyways, retention, definitely, it's the ultimate counter. Retention plus fasting plus prayer, you dang near feel unstoppable. I kid you not. There's a different level of, I don't know, life's perspective. There's a different level of joy. There's a different level of, I don't know, just overall seeing life from a different lens when you're on retention. When because when you're lusting all the time, when you're always letting it out, it's just really draining. You know what I mean? It affects your mood. It can make you depressed. It can make you lack confidence, not really want to have conversation with people, be isolated, so on and so forth. Where retention is the complete opposite. You know what I mean? You go out there, you put your best foot forward. Some people on retention, they're much more outgoing than what they once were when they weren't on retention. The energy levels increase, better sleep, better recovery, so on and so forth, right? So I highly encourage that if you have not tried it, go on and do it. I know some people say, oh, but it's okay if you blah 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 in moderation, and I get it. That's just how some people are. But at the same time, overall, it's much better if you didn't. Trust me, 100%. 100% positive effects. There's more pros than cons to this. All right, and the last one, last but not least, number 7. Number 7, number 7. Now, all of these are key, but this one especially is truly key. This is truly key. I'm not messing around when I say that. Okay, number 7 is what I call the 9 p.m. rule. Now, past 9 p.m., that's when temptation is at an all-time high. And don't get me wrong, temptation, it's not just sexual things either. Temptation comes in a wide variety of shapes and forms. You could be tempted to eat something at a very late time, tempted to drink something at a late time, tempted to go back to sin. But I think the worst part about the 9 p.m. rule is knowing that these things are going to happen, but you don't have any counters. So maybe in the next video, I'll tell y'all more about the 9 p.m. rule and, effective counters I have for the 9 p.m. rule. But past 9 p.m., 10 p.m., any time past 9 p.m., that's where temptation's at an all-time high. That's when, at most times, the door to sin is wide open and people are walking straight in it. Just be mindful past these times, You want to be mindful of, when you're scrolling at late night, or who you're talking to, or, especially overthinking and late night thoughts. Past 9 p.m., when it's just you, dark room, be very careful with what you're thinking. In all honesty, if you can't sleep at 9 p.m., do it immediately so you can wake up early and get in the word. But one thing I've noticed about the pattern about, late night is sometimes I find myself overthinking. You know what I mean? I'll go have a great day, an amazing day, and it's just that one point at the night where I'm just like, dang, man. You just start reminiscing on all the mistakes and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? That's why I gotta have the 9 p.m. rule in check. But yeah, I feel like I covered all the bases. These are the 7 ways you can counter lust and overall temptation as a whole. I might actually break it down into a more detailed compiled list for the next video, but I probably will talk about the 9 p.m. rule in my next video. So I'll try to be more consistent. I promise you, I'll try. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoy the video, and peace.